Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tuned. Today I'm going to talk about my green Honda Grom that you guys have seen videos of in the past. We did the stretch and lowering from the ruck shop. We did the 170cc Coso 4-valve. We tried going 100 miles an hour with this bike and ended up blowing it up. So if you guys haven't seen those videos, definitely go check them out. But this bike kind of got me into the performance mini bike world. And I ended up putting a CBR 250 engine in this bike, and I wanted to show you guys a little bit more of the bike. And I have some old clips from over the winter of building the motor. I don't have like a full build on camera, but I do have a couple clips of just showing the engine and showing all of the parts that I put on this bike. So I'll probably throw those in here at some point, but I just wanted to show you. This is the Grom now. So if you guys had seen the video where I did the CBR 250 swapped Honda Grom test ride, it was actually that OG Grom, the black and gold one over there. So that bike I initially purchased with a CBR 250 engine already swapped in it. So I pretty much just took all the stuff from that bike and I put it in here. Just consisted of the swap mount and the radiator swap. So the radiator and stuff was already set up for a Grom, and the motor mounts were already set up for a Grom. So I literally just took it out of there and I put it in here after I put some parts into it, and I'm gonna show you those parts right now. But anyways, this is the CBR 250 engine that I pulled out of the bike that I bought from Missouri. You guys saw the first test ride kind of video with that bike. And it was a little bit underwhelming. I kind of figured that bike would have had a little bit more power, but a stock CBR 250 really doesn't make a whole lot of power. But we're gonna fix that, and we're gonna be adding a bunch of parts that I got over here. So I first off got a big bore kit from Steady Garage. This is a 301 big bore kit for the CBR 250, and it is higher compression than stock. So I think this is actually like a 12-to-1 setup. I'm not 100% sure, but if you guys look on Steady Garage, it's like one of the only CBR big bore kits they offer. Guys put this big bore kit in CBR 300s as well, but when you do it on a CBR 300, you have to like cut the piston in order for it to clear the valves. So with a 250 engine, I can run this big bore kit without having to do any of that. So I got that big bore kit, and then from Richard, he's actually overseas. He sold me this cylinder head and camshafts. So this is his stage 3 camshafts. These are stage 3 camshafts from Robert Farnham on Facebook. That's how I got a hold of him. And this is his big valve cylinder head. So this head has larger valves than stock, and it was also ported by Mike O'Connell. So got the ports all hogged out. That head in conjunction with this cylinder and piston. I'm really hoping this thing's gonna run pretty good, guys. I'm hoping to see at least 35 horsepower out of this. You know, the best Grom engine I ever did was around 32, and it wouldn't repeat that. It would do like 31 consistently. But if I can make like 35 horse, or who knows, maybe more with this setup, I think the Grom is gonna be an animal. So that's kind of the goal, and hopefully a little bit more reliable than a Grom engine, because this is liquid cooled versus a Grom engine's air cooled. But anyways, other pieces that we got to the puzzle here. This is a ported big throttle body from Paul LaVista, and this is also Paul LaVista's big header. So this is a lot bigger of a header than the exhaust that was on the Grom when I got it from Missouri. So we're going to be swapping this big header. I'm going to use the Brox muffler on the end of it. And we have an A-Racer Super 2 ECU to power everything. So we're going to be tuning with this. This is the new A-Racer AF2 wideband module that we're going to be running. Also got a Chimera intake manifold. This is like supposedly the best one you can get. These are the best for power, even though the intake that was on the bike is virtually the same exact thing size-wise. So I got the Chimera because everybody's telling me that that one's the better for making power. That's the one to get. but this one really is like the same thing. It's just plastic versus aluminum. So I'm sure the aluminum can maybe flow a little bit better, but I don't know. So I got that intake, I got some sprockets, a new chain, because I'm going to run a 428 chain instead of the 520 that was on that Grom. I got the big injector from Steady Garage that goes with this setup. I got a SMR upgraded clutch setup with the upgraded springs, and then all the gaskets and stuff like that, obviously. So I'm going to put this thing together, or try to. This cylinder head, when I bought it, did not come with valve retainers or keepers. So it came with the springs. These are the valve springs right here. So I have to put the valve springs in the head before we assemble it. So, and the seals. So I'm going to have to take that stuff from the old head and put it into that head. So without further ado, I'm going to get this thing apart. I just got the 2 bolts on the top removed so we can pull the valve cover. So there we are. And by the way, guys, this CBR engine is heavy. Compared to a Grom engine, this thing is like double the weight. Just something to keep in mind. So I'm going to start probably by removing these cam caps and the timing chain guide plate right here. And then we'll get the camshafts out. I'll have to take the tensioner out as well. And then we'll be able to unbolt the cylinder head. So I'm going to get that stuff done, and then maybe pick up with you guys in a little while. Alright guys, so I got the top end of the bike tore apart, and I wanted to kind of compare these 2 cylinder heads. So this is the new cylinder head, and that is the one that came off the bike. And the valves are clearly bigger, and these are also like high compression valves. These valves have a dish to them, where these ones are pretty much a flat face valve, which will actually increase the compression of the engine. So I can't put the head on tonight because I am actually going to be swapping the springs and stuff tomorrow. But I did get the jug and the old cylinder off as well. And let me just tell you guys, this connecting rod stock on this CBR setup is huge. Compared to a stock Grom, this thing is massive. So I don't think this thing's gonna have any issue taking some abuse. So I can't wait to make some power with this thing. I'd actually feel a little bit more comfortable putting a turbo or something on something like this, just because of the sheer size of it. I just feel like it'll last a little bit longer and work a little bit better. So I'm going to get the clutch cover off next, and I'm going to look at the clutch and everything like that to kind of see what I have to do. I've never taken one of these engines apart, so the timing chain guides are a little bit different. These are like a K-series Honda almost. The chain is quite long, but like I said, next I'm going to pull this side cover off, and we'll see what's underneath it. So now that you guys saw the engine build that we did, I had some issues with this bike initially when I put it together. I was told by a few different people that possibly I could have some piston-to-valve interference with this TPR big bore kit that I put in this, with the big valve cylinder head and stage 3 camshafts that I'm running from Robert Farnham. If you guys check him out on Facebook. I was told that it is a possibility that there's some piston-to-valve clearance issues. But everybody that had those issues were running a CBR 300 crankshaft. This is a full CBR 250. There's no 300 parts in this other than the big bore kit. Technically it's a 301. It just increases the bore diameter. It didn't increase the stroke. So I put it all together, and I kind of just was hoping that it wouldn't have piston-to-valve issues. I rolled it over on the bench and it was totally fine. But I started it up for the first time, and I probably have a clip of it here, and the thing just rattled like crazy. It was super noisy. So I couldn't figure out what was going on. I lashed the valves a ton, and I just I didn't know what was going on. So I pulled the motor back apart and I found the valve was actually making contact with the piston. Well, I learned the hard way. You can see right in here, the valves were hitting on the exhaust side. Nothing over there. And I ran it like that for like 30 miles, and thankfully it did not actually bend any valves in this big valve head that I got from Robert. Very good valves in this thing. I'm surprised they didn't bend because the piston's forged and the valves are stainless steel, but they're tough, let me just say. So I took the motor back apart and I saw that there was piston to valve clearance issues, and I took the piston up to the machine shop here, and we just kind of hogged out the valve relief a little bit, and I threw it back together, and it's been good ever since. But I got lucky, let's just say. So the bike's the bike's been running problem-free now for a couple hundred miles, and I ended up taking it to the drag strip. We dyno tuned it and had some, some stuff go on when I was on the dyno trying to figure out the A-Racer Super 2 software and stuff like that. I had some issues where the tune wasn't saving to the computer in the bike, and I ended up racing it with a map that I kind of half-assed, and it wasn't the actual dyno tune map. So
wait, is that your excuse for missing fourth?
Yeah. Currently, on the best dyno run that we made with it, it made 40.01 horsepower or something like that. And I probably have a picture of the dyno graph that I'll throw up here. I found some limitations in the intake system and some power to be had in other places with fueling and ignition timing and stuff like that, but it just wasn't being consistent on the dyno, because when I was writing the tune every time to make changes, I wasn't actually writing the entire tune. It was just like the A-Racer software has like a, you can try this change that you just made, and then as soon as you turn the bike off, it loses that. So I might talk about that in a different video, but now I know every time I make a change, I have to do the hard write to the ECU and not just the, transfer data from fuel map kind of button that it offers. So like I said, there was a lot of inconsistencies on the dyno, and I was kind of scratching my head for a while, but needless to say, the bike rips way harder now. It's way faster than it was stock in that bike, let's just say. But with the added weight of this engine, it doesn't feel as fast as I thought it would. It's definitely got some room for improvement still, and I feel like I'm going to re-dyno this bike again sometime soon, and I might do a video of tuning it on the dyno just to kind of see what we can muster up. But with this engine being a CBR 250, all the parts are a lot bigger, so I don't think we'll have clutch slipping issues like we would on a Grom engine. I think we will be able to run my custom fuel tank that I have for a Grom. It has a Walbro 255 fuel pump, and then I have a 750cc injector that I want to try to maybe fit into this thing, so we can either put a turbo on it or some nitromethane fuel or something like that. But that's the Grom, guys. I swapped on the wheels from the OG Grom as well. These are the Enkey stock OG Grom wheels. These are lighter than the newer Grom wheels, so I figured I'd try them out. And I put some PMT slicks on for going drag racing. And unfortunately, when we went racing, it went 890 at like 75 miles an hour, and the chain was skipping when I took off. So I definitely have to figure out a different solution. This bike is running a 428 chain, but I feel like every time I launch the bike really hard, the chain would get slack in it. And it's not because of the extension kit, although I would like to maybe get an evil swing arm for it at some point, because I know these extension blocks probably are not the best way to stretch this thing with this much power. So there's definitely some room for improvement here. I wanted to go like a sub 2 second 60 foot, and I got really close, but I just couldn't quite do it. And I feel like if I put a bigger chain and maybe an evil swing arm on this bike eventually, I feel like I'll be able to 60 foot a lot better. It's just those evil swing arms are pretty pricey. Well, that was terrifying. Let me know what you guys want to see with this bike, and I will try to do my best, but I just figured I'd throw up a video of putting together the motor, or, you know, figuring out the motor. I had to shim the valves. I learned a lot building this engine. Like I said, I had to figure out how to shim the valves, because it doesn't have a rocker arm adjustment. It's just a shim on top of the valve stem itself to set the valve lash. So I had to figure doing that out.
Do 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 do. Is that the song?
Jeopardy.
I feel like I'm really bad at that. Do 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 do.
Oh, I feel like I would like to make like 60 horsepower with this bike, and I think that would be a good goal with a turbo or something like that. I just feel like there's a couple guys spraying nitrous on these things and going 7s in the 8th. I just don't know if I want to spray nitrous with it, because I'm not that good of a rider. To be able to 60 foot that hard with a nitrous hit, I just feel like would end in disaster for me. So I feel like a turbo would be more up my alley. I obviously have a lot to learn still with these things, but I'm pretty happy. This is the fastest Grom I've ever built. Even my 210 or the 223cc Grom engine, although they are lighter, they make about 8 to 9 less horsepower than this one does. I think my fastest pass with one of those engines was like a 9.2, 9.1, 9.2, somewhere in there, at like 70 miles an hour. So this thing gained 5 miles an hour and went a couple tenths faster to the 8th. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're gaining a couple tenths with a little bike like this, it's noticeable. So anyways, I'm babbling, but we got rid of the fuel tech on this bike as well. I switched over to the A-Racer, and I put a CBR 300 dash back on, which is it's very similar to the Grom dash. It literally looks just like a Grom dash. So, and that's kind of what I wanted. I had the fuel tech, and I kind of regret getting rid of it, but then again, it was kind of a hassle wiring wise and some other stuff, where I feel like this was easier just to put this A-Racer in it, and the A-Racer Super 2 is plenty capable for tuning to get this thing up and running good with whatever mods we plan on doing. So That's it, guys. Thanks for watching the video, and have a great night and a better tomorrow. We will see you later.